So, does nutrition really play a role in stress and anxiety?
Oh, absolutely. But when we look at the nutritional piece of the picture, one of the biggest things to focus on is blood sugar control. So when our blood sugar is not well balanced, we experience changes in energy, mood, appetite control becomes an issue. So, what I have found to be very successful for my patients and clients and their caregivers over the years is really focusing on having a good combination, a good balance of protein, fat, and fiber at meals and snacks spread consistently through the day rather than say like snacking on little things here and there and then having one giant meal, right? But also there's specific foods that have been shown to have benefit to our stress response. For example, some that we have some literature on, turmeric, which is an herb you'll commonly see in a number of different types of recipes. Things like omega-3 fatty acids, some really cool research looking at fish oil supplementation specifically. There's some cool research looking at wild blueberries and their impact on brain function as well as inflammation that has an impact on many different parts of the body. What I think important to remember is that when someone is under a lot of stress, this elicits an inflammatory response in the body. So oftentimes when we're talking about nutrition to manage stress, we are talking about a lot of anti-inflammatory foods and anti-inflammatory diet patterns. So lots and lots of vegetables, fruit has its place, healthy fats like olive oil, avocado, nuts and seeds, oily fish. Lean protein in general is a really important thing to be incorporating regularly. And there's also some research looking at bacteria found in fermented foods, for example, being something to support overall gastrointestinal health, which does play a role in mental functioning. And of course, limiting some known inflammatory foods. So, not to say you have to avoid these completely, but keeping an eye on, say, sugar intake, red meat, refined carbohydrate, ultra processed foods. These are things that are not helping you. They might be okay in small amounts for pleasure. And then I always point these out alcohol and caffeine. Also, be very careful with these because caffeine can amp up anxiety, it can disrupt your sleep. Alcohol, a lot of people think that it reduces feelings of anxiety and stress, but interestingly, what happens is after that initial dulling sensation wears off, there's certain mood regulating brain chemicals, for example, GABA. As the body processes that alcohol, does, feel good chemicals take a nosedive, causing you to wake up feeling anxious again, thinking, oh, I just need more alcohol. So that can become a cycle as well. And alcohol also disrupts sleep. But that's just a little piece of the picture of food and stress management.
Oh, it's such an interesting topic to me. I never really put two and two together with stress management is applicable with the anti-inflammatory foods and following that type of diet because it makes complete sense. And it also makes me think of when you're on a plane and the flight attendant says, parents, make sure you put your mask on before you help your child or anyone else with you. We need to make sure that the caregiver is being cared for first and foremost, really, before they can appropriately and accurately care for their loved one. So I think this is hitting home for so many listeners. Maybe a family med doctor or internal med, or maybe even a psychiatrist or somebody in a mental health facility listening into this. What could be a few tangible, actionable things that they could have their patients start eating or doing tomorrow that might significantly help?
Yeah. I mean, I think bringing it back to the blood sugar, I think that practice, that's sort of where everything attaches underneath. When our blood sugar is not well controlled, everything else takes a hit. So, from a nutrition standpoint, I would put the emphasis not on eating a perfect diet. I think sometimes people hear healthy eating and they think that that has to mean like all or nothing. But when you're in a caregiver role, it's really about survival and making the best choices in the situation. So, you're often on the go a lot too. So, I'm not going to tell someone who's needing to rely on convenience foods to be, cooking every day, right? Like we need to think about simple things that are going to be accessible to them. So if they always go to like a coffee shop, we'll use Starbucks as an example. If they're often going to Starbucks and getting breakfast, instead of their sugary coffee drink and then a pastry, maybe they get a cappuccino, which espresso has a little less caffeine than drip coffee, especially at Starbucks, and some egg white bites and some nuts to snack on, because that way they're going to have more protein. They're going to have more fiber, more healthy fat, a little more balance. Maybe instead of eating like a bowl of oatmeal with brown sugar and bananas every morning, maybe they still have the oatmeal. And maybe, they can add a little teaspoon of brown sugar if they really, really love it. But let's get some healthy fat in there. Throw some ground flax in the bowl or put a big, big, giant spoonful of peanut butter on top to give you a little extra protein, some fats, going to ground you. So if someone's normally doing like an Italian sub, like instead of that, maybe they do like a grilled chicken sandwich, or they get like some vegetable soup and a side salad, or start playing around with different ways to introduce these healthy food. Um, Packing snacks could be a really nice entry point for someone because if maybe they can't control what all is going to happen during the day, but if they know that they have some shelf stable, healthy snacks, in their purse, their car, wherever, their backpack, whatever makes sense, that can also take away some of the stress of having to make healthy food choices. You can get packs of nuts and seeds. I love the crispy chickpea snacks or dry roasted edamame. Those are very convenient, or if you're at a convenience store, things like hard boiled eggs, cheese sticks, even like cereal and a little bit of and milk. Like I'm cool with that because it's still going to give someone a balance of nutrients. What I wouldn't recommend, just relying on whatever's available all the time if you don't know what you're walking into. Like if nothing else, have a bar, a protein bar that makes you feel good in your purse or something like that.